Hi, my name is Mike Dillard, and this is Self-Made Man, the podcast for those who want to leave their mark on the world and create a legacy of honor, integrity, and achievement in every aspect of your life. I'm glad you're here, and once again, it is time to forge your destiny. I've known Dan Lok for over 10 years now. You know, we both got our start as online entrepreneurs around the same time, and we both did well. But then it felt like he kind of disappeared for a while. I'd see his name pop up every now and then, but I really didn't know what he was up to or where he'd gone. I didn't see him at any events. And then about 2 years ago, boom, Dan is everywhere. He's giving TED Talks, his ads are all over the internet, and he's suddenly become one of the most prominent figures in the entrepreneur space. So I had to find out what had changed. Where did this new Dan Lok come from, and how was he doing it? Well, it turns out that the foundation to this new level in his career was his YouTube channel. 3 years ago, Dan started uploading videos to his YouTube channel on a consistent basis, and growth was slow at first. It took him about 2 years to hit 100,000 subscribers on his channel, but then things started to go exponential, and within 6 months, he'd hit 500,000 subscribers. Today, he's approaching 800,000 and will likely hit the million mark within the next 3 to 4 months. So he is not the only one that has figured out how valuable YouTube can be. Ty Lopez, Patrick Bet-David, Gary Vee, Stephen James, and Grant Cardone. There's about 10 people in this industry who've gone all in on YouTube, and their businesses across the board have skyrocketed as a result. So what's really involved? How can you build a massive audience on YouTube, and what kind of commitment does it really take? Well, today, Dan's going to walk us through his entire evolution as an entrepreneur and how he's grown his brand to a multiple 8-figure business using YouTube as his foundation in a way that he has never shared in any other interview before. But first, before we dive in, make sure you head over to selfmademan.com, and I want you to watch an incredibly important video that I just made about the future of this company, our mission, and how you can use the knowledge and the mentors that we've gathered here, like Dan, to take your life to the next level. If you're not getting the results that you want in business, if you don't have the confidence levels that you'd like to have, and if you want to know how to really change the direction you're headed in life, then watch that video, because I'm going to give you the single most important piece of advice that completely changed my life 12 years ago. And I can promise you this: if you really hear and apply what I'm going to share with you in that message, it will absolutely change your life as well. With that being said, please help me welcome my friend, Dan Lok. Dan Lok, welcome to Self-Made Man. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, brother.
Hey, thank you, Mike. You know what? There are 2 podcasts that I subscribe and listen to, and Self-Made Man is one of them.
Thank you, brother. That means a lot. Appreciate it. Any favorite episodes so far that come to mind?
There's so many of them. I listen to almost all of them. I would say I missed maybe just a couple episodes.
Nice. Awesome, brother. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Well, I'm excited about the interview today. You and I have known each other off and on for almost 10 years now, probably. We're kind of the old...
We're getting old.
I know.
You're so old.
I know. We talked about this the other day, actually, on one of the episodes where...
Yes.
You know, we were like, we've been here since before social media and Facebook and YouTube and any of that existed. So
you remember the Overture? Overture.com?
Yes.
That's right.
It's been a good journey. It's been awesome. And I'm excited to have you on the show today because you've made a huge transformation in your business. I would say over the last 1 to 2 years. You can fill us in on the specifics timeline wise. But I've watched you go from what I just phrase as Dan Lok to Dan Mother Effin' Lok. So over the last 18 months or so, and you've just become you've just taken your personal brand to the next level in a super strategic way. I can tell you've been very conscious about it. You've been very strategic about it, and I would love to dive into why you've gone that direction, what you've done, and how you've built this brand and blown it up over the last year.
Sure. So kind of take your listener behind the curtain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're willing to do that, I would be.
You got it. Absolutely. I don't think I've ever talked about it. You're the very first one.
Awesome.
That actually interviewed me on this topic.
World exclusive.
Yes, you are. You got it.
Cool. So let's take everybody back to the beginning, and let's cover a little bit of your start as an entrepreneur to give people some context and kind of fill us in on the backstory first.
So I was born in Hong Kong, and I immigrated to Canada when I was 14 years old with my mom. And because at the time I was getting into so much trouble in Hong Kong, was basically a punk kind of kid, very rebellious and getting into fights and not doing good in school. And then so my mom and my dad also had a little bit of arguments. So we immigrated to Canada, and I was living in Wally in Vancouver. It's kind of like the hood in Vancouver. And so not a very good neighborhood. It's got drugs and crimes and all of that stuff. And I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with my mom. And shortly after that, my mom and dad got divorced when I was 16 years old. And then at 17 years old, my dad actually went bankrupt in Hong Kong. And so he had a business partner, and the business partner basically took all the money, and my dad signed everything, guaranteed everything. And the business partner took all the money and disappeared overnight. And that was a very devastating thing for my dad. He lost his confidence. He lost all the money. He was about $1 million US in debt, but also he lost all his confidence. He was never the same man again after that incident. And so as the only child in my family, I had to grow up, stop being a boy, and mature and be a man and man up, and to take care of my mom, to take care of the family. So, and I knew back then I couldn't do that just working, like making minimum wage, right? Or working at a job, because I wasn't doing particularly well in school. I wasn't very athletic. So I'm not going to be an athlete. I'm not going to be an actor. My uncle said to me, "Hey, you're not very smart. You're not very good looking. You're not very athletic. You should be an entrepreneur." so I said, "Thank you very much, uncle. I'll do that." Right. And that's how I kind of got into business. So I kind of got into business by accident. It wasn't my intention. Back then, my biggest dream, Mike, was just to open up like a martial arts school and be a martial art instructor.
Oh, interesting.
That was my dream, because I was getting bullied in school, and I was taking martial art lessons, and I got very, very passionate about martial art. And I thought, you know what? If I could get a black belt or something, I can open up a little school. I can do this for the rest of my life. That's cool, like for me. But I know I couldn't provide for my mom doing that. So started my first business when I was in high school, like most entrepreneurs, trying to make a living, right? So the first business I started was just a lawn mowing business. So I got a little lawnmower with a couple of my buddies, and we just started doing odd gigs here and there, delivering paper, and we got into like vending machine and fixing computers, anything that just to make a little bit of money. Right, always do some side hustle. That's what the young guys call, right? The young kids nowadays, they say it's side hustle. Yeah. So been doing side hustle for a long, long time, and that's how I first kind of got into business.
And when did you get into the internet marketing side of things?
Because of all these crazy business ideas, and I tried many different things, right? So I started and failed actually at 13 businesses before having my first success. So 13 failures. And my first success, so I was doing all these businesses, they all failed. And finally, I found a mentor. That's my very first mentor. His name is Alan Jacks. And Alan at the time used to run one of the biggest financial education company in Canada. So he was the very first guy that brought Robert Kiyosaki to Canada to speak, before like even Robert was famous.
Cool.
And so I worked for Alan for next to nothing for 1 year, and he took me under his wings. And he was the very first guy that taught me how business actually works, how marketing works, and how copywriting works. Before that, I didn't even know what is copywriting, like what is this thing. But he taught me how to do a lot of those things. So I worked for him for 1 year. And then after that, I started my own one-man, you could say, advertising agency as a copywriter in my early 20s. I was probably 21-ish or so. And I was trying to get clients. I was writing these, like, remember the direct mail days, right? Direct mail, the sales letters, long form sales letters. And that's when I started getting a little bit of taste of success. Early 20s, I was making about $10,000 a month as a copywriter. Back then, to a young guy, I mean, Mike, that was a lot of money, right?
Sure.
That was like, oh, this is good. Like, I could pay the bills. I could take care of my mom. I could pay off some debt. Like, life is pretty good, right? So that's, quote unquote, my first business success, you could say.
And so after that, I mean, I remember seeing you do a lot of affiliate marketing, and you eventually got to a point where you're making, 7 figures a year.
Correct.
Take us through that stage real quick.
So I was doing all the copywriting for all these entrepreneurs, speakers, and I was writing the sales letter. And one day I was talking to a web master, a web designer guy. And he said, hey, Dan, I think you should have a website. I said, why do I need a website? What do I need it for? Well, you can promote your service. I said, I don't want more clients. Like, my appointment book is pretty full. I don't think I have time to take on more like clients, for copywriting clients. Well, maybe you can sell something online. Well, I said, what I'm going to sell? Well, I don't know, do a book or something. I said, okay, fine, I'll do a book. So I wrote my very first book called Psychological Tactics. And I printed out, I think it was like 100 copies or something like that. And I would put it online, like on bulletin board. It makes me feel so old. Yeah, bulletin board. And I remember I got my first money order. Like, Mike, this is like not even merchant account paper. I'm talking like a money order in the mail, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what we used to do, is say, send your check here, right? Yeah,
exactly. Right. I got my first like money order from the US. And I think I was selling the book and I printed a bunch of them, like spiral bound, and for like $19.95. And I sold one, and then within 30 days, I sold all of them. And I thought, holy shit, if I could do this in my spare time, and I'm offering a book, and it would sell, and I'm generating income on the side, I'm still working with clients. I'm like, okay, this is something here. So then I read Corey Rudo's course. I don't know if you remember back then, on the Insider Secrets to Marketing on the Internet, like the 2 binders, right? Yeah, so I finished that course. And within that, Corey talked about the concept, I think one of the chapters, turning your book into an ebook, a digital book. And back then, we're not even talking about PDF, I'm talking about EXE file.
Yeah, he was the one who invented the first ebook software.
That's right. So I bought I think called ebook Pro, I remember. Something like that.
Yeah.
So I bought the software, converted into an ebook, and I bumped up the price to $29.95, something like that. And then I started marketing online. And very shortly after that, then I was actually making more money marketing online, selling my first book, than my copywriting business. Right. So
you and me both.
Right. That gave me the first taste of, maybe there's something about this internet thing, right? Maybe there's something here I didn't know. Kind of like your magnetic marketing story, right?
Right, exactly. I had him printed
right?
up, spiral bound at Kinko's, and then, same thing.
That's exactly that, right? So then I made a decision. I'm going to focus, because the background that I had, the copywriting, a lot of those, I found that when I transfer that skill online, it's the same skill set. When you're writing a sales page, when you're writing a headline, when you're writing an ad, is essentially the same skill. And then from there, like I said, I was selling products on eBay. I was importing Bruce Lee collectibles from Hong Kong, selling them on eBay, getting into affiliate marketing, and from then on, that's when I made quote-unquote. Now, I do have to say, I think you would agree, timing is a big factor, because back then there's a lot less competition. The cost of advertising is very, very low. Like back then, even pay-per-click and Google, they were very, very cheap. I mean, back then we could run an ad on pay-per-click on Google, and we could sell a $47 product, and we could be like profitable all day long, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can scale. You can have a product, and I was building all these verticals, right? All these different verticals, and like you said, timing, luck, skill, all that combined and I was making, very, very good money. I've never seen so much money, like as a young person, that I'm able to provide for my family. Now, at the same time, because I've never seen so much money, I was very naive that my friends and I, we would go out there and we would, blow $3,000 on a night, and I don't even drink, right? Like, it's just stupid stuff. I was paying for all my friends' vacation, their flight, and we hang out and doing all this stuff, and was getting a new car every year. So I went through that period of time because I was making money. I didn't know the concept of investing and saving all that until after. And so was making money, but was also blowing a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I think we all go through that stage.
Yeah.
If, single guy in your 20s making money, you're going to take all of the shit you've put on your dream board and go buy it.
Yes, and we believe we got to get all of them in 1 year, right? Right. You got to accomplish all these things I wanted in 1 year.
If there's money in the bank account, then it's not doing any good, right? You got to find somewhere to put it.
And because we are so good at generating money and revenue. And at the time, for me, I always thought, I can always make money.
Yes.
Right?
That is a dangerous ability to have in some ways.
It's very, very dangerous. Now I'm a little bit older, a little bit more mature. I think most entrepreneurs, they overestimate their abilities, including me.
Well, you assume that you have this superpower and that you can always pull it out and use it anytime you need it. And especially after you've done that 5, 6, 7 times,
yes,
it builds in that bias, and you're like, okay, until at some point it doesn't. And then you're like, there's a shift that has to be made. But that's really interesting that we've all gone through that transition as we've gotten older.
It's like you lose your mojo, right? Right? And whatever you call that, it's then I realized business success is the idea, the execution, yes, but timing extremely critical. So there are many, many factors that contribute to someone's success. And I think now I'm more mature. I would never, like you said, how I am now, my brand, everything I do, business is blowing up. I would never in a million years would tell you, hey, Mike, it's all me because I'm so good. I'm so incredible as an entrepreneur. I would say absolutely not. Like, my skill it's part of the equation, but maybe it's 20%, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, that's the perfect transition. When did you make the decision and have the vision to become Dan Mother Effin Locke, boss in the Bentley, wearing the red suit? Because that's a big transition for you, right? And it's been recent. And I want to go back to the moment where you had the idea and the ambition and made the conscious decision to take your career in this path and your personal brand in this path. Where are we? Are we sitting on a couch somewhere with your wife? Or are you sitting with someone that kind of helped you come up with it? But like, that's the moment I'm really most interested in.
So with the internet, right? Let me circle back a little bit because it's all part of the journey, and you'll see why I made that decision. So through that period of time, I was making very good money through my internet businesses. At the same time, I was also traveling quite a bit, speaking on different platforms, okay, and training and educating and doing seminar. So there was a period of time I was doing a ton of those, a lot of those, an event all the time. And even through the training business, that becomes another like very successful business on its own. And I took a lot of that money and put into real estate. That's one thing I was smart enough to do that. Fortunately, I had the insight. And also invest in some tech companies, which I was an angel investor, which I invested in 10, all 10 lost money. So I thought maybe that's not a very good idea. But I invested in 10, all 10 lost money. So
yeah, it's not a smart idea for someone unless you do that as your profession. I'm saying that from experience as well.
Yes, we both been there and done that, right?
Yeah.
So from that point on, so I was traveling, I was speaking, and get to one point I remember, because there are 2-3 of these defining moments, because I want to talk about it. It leads to why I made the decision, made the shift. So first is One time I was in the States, I woke up in a hotel and I had no idea what city I was in, right? The time zone was all messed up. And I said to myself, okay, this is not good. Like I'm exhausted. I like training. I like speaking. I enjoyed that aspect of it. But oh my God, the traveling, it's so exhausting, right? My body, my mind was tired. So I made a decision. No, I'm not going to travel. I'm just going to focus on my business. So you notice you actually notice my career. At one point, I was out there speaking, and suddenly people thought I kind of disappeared. I disappeared from kind of the promoting my own brand and doing training. I was just minding my own business.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a few years of time that you don't see me publishing content, anything like that. And I was just growing all my companies in the background, right? And then about, I would say this is 30, 31-ish. That's when I got the quote unquote, the bug, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go out there and I want to speak again because I'm good. But once I think circle back to my childhood, how I shared with you, I wanted to be a martial instructor.
Right.
I think at a young age, I've always had a teacher's heart. I love to teach. I love golfing doesn't interest me. Fishing doesn't interest me. I love teaching, seeing people transform, being on stage. There's something about that. I get a kick out of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Same.
Yeah, it's the same, right? There's nothing quite like it. And so I thought to myself, okay, how could I do that? But at the same time, I don't want to do what I did before. I was traveling, speaking, and training 3-day, 2-day event. I'm like, I don't want to do that either. So locally, I started a little meetup group called Vancouver Entrepreneurs Group.
Okay.
And I would just showed up and I would just kind of teach. Didn't charge a lot of money. There was no back end. I didn't need to make money from that because I already make a lot of money from what I do. So I could just teach. And with zero advertising, with just word of mouth, I started that group and it grew from 0 to 2,000 members in a couple of years, just through word of mouth. And I would have that training at Vancouver Club, which is one of the most prestigious private clubs in Vancouver. And I would just book a room and I would charge very minimum ticket amount, cover the cost, and I would just teach. So I created this environment so I could teach.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely.
It's just kind of funny. But through that, I met a lot of different people. Then I thought, okay, if I'm doing this, and you can see it on my YouTube channel, and I thought if I'm teaching, why don't I just record it and put it on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold, before I know it, I was getting traction from YouTube. This is just, I'm taking footage that I have. My guy would edit it and would just put it on YouTube. And this was probably 2.5, 3 years ago, right?
Yep.
And I was on YouTube. And there was something about YouTube because Mike, as you know, we have our books out there. You have your podcast, right? That we do a lot of different things to do marketing and do speaking. But I've never had someone walked up to me and say, hey, I read your book or I read your blog post or even I listened to your podcast. But I've had multiple times. And I was talking about back then, I had maybe a few thousand subscribers on YouTube.
Right.
Oh, hey, Dan, I watched your video.
Mm.
And that clicked for me. I said, okay, maybe there's something here. There's something here. And then here's the defining moment. You want the moment? Here's the moment.
Okay, yep.
So at the time, I was following a YouTuber called Superwoman.
Not familiar. Superwoman. Okay, cool.
And she's like an Indian young lady, comedian, super hilarious. And I think at the time when I was following her, watching her video, she had maybe a million subscribers, a little bit over 1 million subscribers.
Yep.
And I was watching her stuff. I watched her stuff with Jenny, my wife, and we just have a good time, right? You're watching entertainment. And I saw a promo of her doing a world tour, and she's coming to Vancouver.
Mm. Yep.
And I thought, okay, that's interesting. I'm kind of like a fan, right? So believe it or not, Mike, I bought the ticket to see her. Now you got to understand, her audience is all teenage girls, right?
Right.
So I bought the ticket. I bought the even meet and greet. I upgraded, right? And so it was the Vogue Theater in Vancouver, and it was a long lineup across the street. Like it was like couple hundred people outside of the theater. Line, you got to imagine all these like teenage girls, like yeah, like, and then it's me, Dan Lok in the middle, right?
Right.
It's like a Justin Bieber concert, like a Bieber like concert, like it's strange.
Nice.
And I was there and meet and greet, and I was sitting. I think it was like there's some parents, but I'm one of the few guys in the audience. I was sitting in the audience, and before the show started, she played a video of her getting ready for this tour. And when she played the video, the crowd went insane. I mean, like they were jumping up and down. They were like, yeah, Superwoman, yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the video. And then when she came up on the stage, it was like a Tony Robbins seminar. It was like Justin Bieber. I've never seen anything like this. And while she's doing her skit and performing and dancing, in the middle, there was a part where she was talking about her story, just sharing. She asked us different questions in the audience, and every single person in the audience knows the answer. Like she would be talking about, hey, what's my favorite ice cream? Everybody would know.
Wow.
What's my favorite color? Everybody would know. That's when it clicked for me. And I said, holy shit. What if a business personality could do that? What if you could have raving fans like that? What would that do to your business?
Right.
That's the moment for me. I've seen so many speakers, been to so many events, seen so many influencers. I've never seen anything like this. So she is no different. So my question to you, Mike, is she's no different than a real celebrity. Because the reaction from the audience is the same.
Sure.
But she wasn't actually a celebrity, if you know what I mean, right? She was a YouTuber. Lack of a better word, she created this celebrity status in some way. Not through mainstream, but through YouTube, through social media.
Yep.
And now today, fast forward, Lily Singh, I think you can see she's with The Rock. Right? She has The Rock on her YouTube channel. Her YouTube channel now has like 12 million subscribers,
wow.
right? She's got a best-selling book. She's on like all these like major TV shows. Like I'm talking now, she's mainstream celebrity, right? Doing like skit and all that stuff. And that's when I made the decision. Okay, I said there's something that I've been.
Oh, I just got to her channel and subscribed real quick. So yeah, just type in Superwoman on YouTube, guys, if you want to.
And you'll see, right?
Yep.
And that's when I made a decision that. Like I'm doing internet marketing, but I haven't been fully dedicated, immersed, and made a decision I'm going to fully utilize social media, like to the highest degree. When I made that shift, that's when.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Both.
Okay, because I was going to say usually copywriters are introverts.
Both.
But this requires a whole different willingness to get out there and put yourself out there, right?
It was not only willingness. I could even circle back. I have those footage where the first time I was talking to a camera. Now I could talk to a big audience, no problem. I can do that all day. But talking to a machine, talking to a camera, I remember back then a 1 minute delivery, a script, I would need 10 takes.
Yeah.
It was so difficult. You need to script everything out. I would freeze in front of the camera, but I knew that if I stick to it, I could only get better. Right after 100 videos, my 100th video would be better than my first video. Right, and so I made a commitment and the tenacity, and you can see now I have over close to 900, almost 1,000 videos on YouTube. We release a video every single day. Right.
So that actually takes me to my next question. You've now got the inspiration and the idea. What do you do when you sit down and say, okay, how do I actually execute on this? And what was your game plan?
Good question. So at the time, I just thought YouTube was getting traction. So I would focus on just YouTube. So the first 10,000 subscribers, it took me almost actually the first 0 to 1,000 took me about 6 months. Okay. 6 months to do it. So it was very slow, very, very slow. I had my mom, I have all my friends, subscribe to it. I got like 3 Google accounts subscribed to my own channel. It was sad. Okay, and I upload a video, I got like 12 views and no comment, right?
And let's talk about that, because that's discouraging. That doesn't feel good.
Extremely discouraging.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's like it just doesn't feel good. But it
doesn't feel good.
But you went through it.
I went through
Everybody else I've talked to has gone through it, and the differentiating factor between those who are at your level now and above is the fact that you kept going anyway, right?
Yeah, and I also saw that this is all the stuff, like all the thought process I went through. It's good questions, and I'll circle back to the question as well. So at the time I saw after Superwoman, I thought to myself in terms of in the business category, how many big YouTube business figures are there, right? And in my mind, I could only think of 3 at the time, right? And I thought, this is amazing. Like all of them at the time only had like a few 100,000 subscribers. And I thought, if I could get to that kind of number, I would be one of the very few. And because I was already doing a little bit of YouTube, so I knew how difficult it is. I actually like the fact that it's difficult because Mike, you and I know Facebook, we can turn on the ad, we can run ads, we can get leads, we can get, drive people to webinar. We can do that with just flipping a switch.
Right.
It's not like that.
Requires commitment and
this every damn subscriber you have to earn. And it is so unforgiving because let's face it, you are competing with Netflix. You're competing with all the entertainment that's on YouTube to be able to craft a space for yourself. The barrier of entry is so high. That's why even still, we fast forward a few years, you don't see that many YouTube, like a business authority, a business figures on YouTube, like that has substantial subscribers. You can count them with one hand.
I was going to say there might be at most 10.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Right? And how many of them are at that, like, say, 500,000 subscribers mark?
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So I like the fact that barrier of entry is high because I just know no one would do it.
Right.
Like it's so, even for me, it was so hard. But I did. So let's circle back. So it took me 6 months to go from 0 to 1,000 subscribers. It took me 1 year to go from 1,000 to 10,000. It took me another year, which is last year, beginning of January, 10,000. This is we're talking, and then to 100,000 subscribers. Took me another year, just 1 year. Okay. Now, so just this year alone, in now 6 months, 7 months ish, I went from almost 100,000 subscribers to now 500,000 subscribers almost.
Right.
So by the end of the year, probably 1 million subscribers. So the growth is geometric, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think just, YouTube starts to reward you for consistent action over time. And obviously, as you build that following, you get more minutes viewed, you get longer periods of view, and that's what they want. And they just start to display you in more search results, and it just feeds on itself for sure. Correct.
And then, of course, I also devote my time to building the Facebook, the Instagram. Then I just went the omnipresence concept, right?
When did you decide on the specific look and feel of your brand, right? You've got the red silk suit, you've got the Bentley, and you've got all of these different, you've got an attitude, a certain attitude when you're on video of kind of like the boss, right? For lack of a better word. It's very Robert Kiyosaki-esque to me. It reminds me of that, like the rich dad, no bullshit, tell you how it is, like hard love type deal.
Yes.
And when did you sit down and decide that this is going to be your brand, your look, your sound, all of that, right?
I think number of factors. Number one, my second mentor, his name is Dan Pena. And Dan, if you the $50 billion man, if you search his stuff on YouTube, like that to me is the tough love, no bullshit kind of guy. So he's been my mentor for 10 years. Obviously, he influenced me heavily, right? Where I would pick up different things from him. And second, with the red suit, it's more when it's not for for the brand, it is just I had the suit, and to at certain settings when I was on TEDx or certain environment, I noticed when I wear the suit, I got more attention. And nowadays, attention is a very valuable currency.
Absolutely, and
Right?
that's a question I've got for you here today as well. You've started to do recently like luxury product reviews, right? You did one on
Yes.
Audemars recently, and I was like,
Yes.
Dan, dude, that's my favorite brand too, and we were chatting about it. And
Yes.
are you starting to get contacted by these brands to do promotions or partnerships or endorsements or things like that?
Not yet, but they should.
They should at half a million
They should,
subscribers. They should. Yeah,
Yeah, but
surprising.
I'm getting certain brands, but they are not the ones that I actually wear. They
Yeah.
haven't approached me yet. However, with some of the things I'm planning to do, like Mike, you will see where now I have my brand. We're focusing on the social media now. So starting this month, you see in the next 12 months that I'm actually going more mainstream. Like I have a bunch of initiatives that I'm going to do. Like I'm launching a new book, pushing it to a Wall Street Journal bestseller. I am going to launch an infomercial. Like I'm going more mainstream and on top of social media. So you would see the next level, my transition, my next level to the brand, and then you will see a shift as well to that next level. And
cool.
Yeah, so you will see that, and now during that time, what I notice is the more this is happening, there's that tipping point when you get to certain level. I hate to use the word popularity, but it's the most accurate way of describing it. That the world just opens up, opportunities just come your way that I would never imagine. Like huge opportunities, different things. It's not even just business opportunities. It's just like it opens up the world. There's something about having that strong presence, right? When people know you, they have consumed your content. When they like, even right now, like he's an interesting example. So we're doing this interview podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And self-made man, that's cool. And I'm sharing my story. Now I'm just looking at right now, real time, my YouTube statistics example.
Right.
Okay, in the last 28 days, we had over 5.1 million views.
Right.
We had 27 million minutes of watch time.
Yep.
So just think about 27 million minutes of my content is being consumed per month in the last 20 days while we're doing this, right? Where else can you have a platform like that? It's not just YouTube, like of course Facebook and all that, but it's just incredible the reach that we have, right? Even now, the students I have, before I have students in North America, but now I have students in over 100 countries, right? That's just incredible.
From a getting started perspective, for those who are listening to this right now and they're like, okay, Dan, I'm sold. I'm going to make the commitment. I want to pursue a YouTube channel. What did you do to start out from an execution standpoint? Meaning, did you go out and hire a videographer? Did you set the camera up yourself? Did you buy a little lighting kit and put it up in your room? Like, what did it look like?
Did all of that. I tried to buy a camera and got the light, didn't work. And finally, I'm like, I don't get this. And I tried to get editing software. And shortly after that, I'm like, this is not working. So I hired a videographer, and then we upgraded equipment. So we started part-time. Just we would film. At first, he would come and film my meetup. And eventually, then I would have more stuff. And then I hire a videographer full-time. And so forth. So one at a time. So let's say for YouTube, now it doesn't have to be YouTube, but I believe video is the most powerful form out of all of them.
Without a doubt. And YouTube is the only platform that still makes sense to me, because Facebook suppresses your content too much. Nobody sees it.
Correct.
Instagram is fleeting and momentary. You have 15 to 60 seconds of somebody's attention.
Correct.
If it's in a story, it's gone in 24 hours.
Correct.
Same with Snapchat.
Yes.
YouTube is the only platform where you can make a video, as you've done many videos 3 years ago, and you're still getting views every single day of that content. So for me,
and it's also a search engine. It's a search engine. People can search your content versus Instagram, Facebook. You can't really search anything, right? No,
agreed. So it makes a ton of sense to me. It's the only platform that I think is worth your investment. And if you're going to do just one, I think that's absolutely agreed. That's the way to go.
I agree. And you don't have to. I have a student of mine who is a local six-figure realtor, and his YouTube channel only has like less than 1,000 subscribers. But for a local entrepreneur, that's good. Yeah. That's very good. Like he gets leads, people recognize him just with 1,000 subscribers. So it depends on what you do. You don't necessarily have to get, I need to get 10,000 subscribers and get 100,000 subscribers. It depends on what you want to do, right? How big you want your brand to be and who is your audience.
Some advice I got many, many years ago when I first started, and I really took it to heart. It took me 5 years of failing before I finally figured this out and realized it was more than a fancy quote. Which is that you have to be willing to give before you can expect to get.
100%.
And that's not, again, it's really easy to take that at face value. And it's a very different thing to actually accept that in like your heart and live it with the expectation of giving without the expectation of anything in return, genuinely. And I think that's what YouTube takes. That's what really anything takes. A podcast takes, whatever it may be.
Exactly. Like I'm sure, like even when you share a story with the podcast, where you were doing it more out of passion, out of, hey, you know what? I can talk to all these great entrepreneurs and have these fascinating conversation. Forget if I get any listeners. I would just do it for myself, right? This is awesome, right? And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it's been 3 years now, and I've never monetized the podcast. I don't have any ads. I don't have anything.
There you go.
Yeah, this is a one-way route of me trying to give value to my audience and my listeners, and I don't make money from this, so it's not a part of my business model. It is in the fact that there's a value component, but I'm not making my living cashing checks from ad revenue from this show. Because there isn't any. In fact, I lose $2 or $3 grand a month on production costs and editing, right? So
there you go. You go. And I think coming from our, how should we say this? Like our generation of entrepreneurs, like from our space, Mike, you and I, we talk about this when we're in person. We know there's a lot of the, even lack of a better word, like experts and gurus and all of that. A lot of them, they come and go. A lot of them, at one point, some big names you and I would both know, and they were huge at one point, and now they're like nowhere to be found.
Right.
And I think this is just my perspective, that when the transition happens through social media, a lot of them couldn't pivot and adapt enough that, let's call those the direct response marketers, right? And they want, hey, you know what? I'm going to run an ad. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a campaign. I'm going to do a launch. I want to see money right now. But with the new social media, with how people consume content, how people buy, it's completely the opposite. So now think about it. I'm asking someone, I want you to build this platform. It could be podcast, could be YouTube. You are going to create 100 videos. You're going to put a year into this before you see anything in return. They're like, hell no. They're like, hell no. I said, okay, right? And so they just can't wrap their head around it, that the people like myself who did it, now you get the attention, you get the trust in the marketplace, you get the customers. The whole thing becomes, it's almost an unfair advantage, right? And it is. And now, by the time they want to catch up, they can't. They can't.
Yeah. No, I mean, like as we mentioned, there's less than 10 on YouTube, right? You, Ty, Grant, Gary, Alex Becker, maybe, and Valuetainment.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Right. It isn't. And so And it's not a competition. It's just that I think it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in the business space. It could be fitness. It could be in relationship. It could be in whatever niche that you choose. But my guess is chances are there are not a ton of YouTubers. Now, here's the crazy part, Mike. With me, so people see on YouTube, but the way I structure my company one step at a time, I shared that with you last time, right? Where right now, from myself in one camera, trying to do it on my own, doing myself, to now evolved, I have 3 people on my full time on just the video team, right? I have 3 guys just on Instagram, right? I have 4 guys just on Facebook, full time, right? So my social media team, last time I talked to you, I think I had like 18 people, right?
Right.
Now it's already like 20, 24.
Wow. Yeah.
So just the social media. So my mind, instead of thinking of, oh, I'm in whatever business, no, I'm a media company.
Right.
That's the way I view what I do. Every other businesses, all that, it's built around this. But really, the core of what I'm building, what I'm doing right now, is it's a media company. So my team, all of that, it's media. It's producing content, being prolific, getting distribution, getting it out there. And I do so much in terms of quality and quantity, data analytics. Like some of the stuff that we are doing, it's just. Even it's pioneer. It's someone that never seen this before, right? Like you would see, like most people, they would have usually one thing very strong, right? Let's say for you, your podcast is extremely strong, right? Or someone who has a very strong Instagram, or someone who has a very strong Facebook. But very few people, maybe except I would say Gary V, that is strong across the board to some degree.
Well, didn't he recently put out, or I read in the last week that he has, I think 23 or 24 full-time staff members at VaynerMedia running his just content production only. And I think they produce 50 pieces either a day or a week.
Yep.
That's a media company for
it's a media
one person.
Company. It's absolutely. But when you could, now I'm not saying that you got to do it overnight, but like for someone listening to this, you can start with just one platform, focusing on that. And then as you grow, you would add more and more like team members if necessary. But you got to treat it like you cannot be, okay, I'm running my business. In my spare time, whatever time I have left, I'm going to do some of this post and social media stuff. You need to flip it around. And knowing that, you know what, that is the business, right? Yeah. That is your priority. When you can make that shift, then it changes the game. And that's how you can see why you get those leaps and bounds of like growth.
And I'll give everybody the same piece of advice that Lewis House gave me when I started this podcast, because when I thought about doing this, I called him up and I was like, Lewis, what do I need to know about building a podcast? And he's like, don't even bother unless you're willing to do one show a week, every single week for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
And he's like, just don't even bother unless you make that commitment right now, here today.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's how long it took me to get, his show into momentum. And, here we are 3 years later with Self-Made, still doing it. And it's the biggest ROI thing that I have ever done.
Yes.
From a time invested, money invested, and then ROI back. And when I say ROI, I don't mean money, I mean goodwill.
Yeah.
It's the single biggest ROI I've ever experienced. And I am 100% positive you feel the same way about YouTube, obviously.
It's 100%. And if you think in terms of marketing, the old days, let's say the old days, where you are building a list or you send out a message and here's the offer, that's okay. But now, so think about it, that's a more vertical process, if you can visualize this, right? They come into your funnel, email, build trust through the email, and then here's an offer, and you get customers. That's okay. But nowadays, if you look at even delivery in terms of email, everything else that's out there, you got to flip it around. So every single piece of content, so instead of looking at vertically, think of the funnel as horizontally. You are taking your sales message, you're breaking it up into 100 pieces, and you distribute it. And any given time, someone can do a could be an Instagram story. They consume bits and pieces of it. They listen to your podcast. They watch one part of your video, or they watch one of your ad, and then now they want to do business with you. It is like that.
So that leads me to a question. Is there a hire that you made at your team for someone who essentially owns the execution of all of this, right? Is there someone who's at the top of your media company that is managing your other 18 people and helping determine the schedule on a daily, weekly, monthly basis of content and the distribution of it, making sure the quality's there, measuring the analytics, giving you a report on a weekly or monthly basis of, hey, here's how everything's doing? Is there a person in that role at your company right now?
Yes. So I have a social media director. His name is Desmond Soon. He's been with me for 3 years.
Okay.
But I also have a branding, a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. Her name is Charlie. And so at Charlie, I have Desmond. And then within that, each platform has a you could say a director of its own, right?
Right.
So director of Facebook, each channel head, right? So it's not one person's role because no one person can do it. And the big strategies, the creatives, the ideas, most of those comes from me. Did
those two key people have prior experience in that world, or did they just come into your company and they grew into
Charlie. Charlie has tremendous experience in now the PR.
Okay,
a huge experience and brand in terms of branding.
And how did you find her?
You know what? Every single person on my team, I've never put out an ad. I have never. Some of them, they see what I'm doing. They just approach me and say, "Hey, Dan, I want to see you. Do you need help growing your Instagram? Do you need help growing this?" And I tried different people. So it's very organic. And then some worked, some didn't. But not one of them I put out an ad. Every single one is either through a referral or they're actually students of mine.
Cool. Very cool.
Right? And so the culture, all that is very strong. And and then we just work together as a brand. And I want to emphasize something. At this point, you could say the Dan Lok brand is not like it's not a man, it's not a person anymore, right? It's my team, it's our brand, it's their brand, it's not just me,
right?
It's like it's evolved way beyond than just me. Like I play my part. I'm the teacher. I am the spokesperson, but it's beyond. It's like making a movie, right? You have the actor. But really, to make a movie, you need 100 other people. It's not one person, right? So I'm the actor, but no, we have the director, we have the writer, we have the sound engineer, we have the light, all of that, all those people. It's the same idea, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's awesome, brother. It's been super cool to watch, and I can't wait now to see what you're doing over the next 12 months.
Some crazy things you're gonna do.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. Well, congratulations on all of your success. Again, it's just been really neat to witness. And where can folks go to connect with you the best? Obviously, your YouTube channel on just Dan Lok on YouTube.
YouTube, Instagram at Dan Lok, Facebook, all the social media. They can find me.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for the time today. This was awesome. I know we've talked about bringing you back on to talk about your teachings and wisdom when it comes to sales, because you and I can both say that is the one skill set that changed our lives and that I would 100%. Say is necessary for every single person who wants to become an entrepreneur. You know, at least speaking for myself, that was the most difficult challenge that I ever had to overcome, being an introverted person. Mm-hmm. But it's possible for everybody.
Correct.
There are different mediums and styles of selling that will work for you no matter who you are. And I know, Dan, you're one of the best in the world when it comes to teaching at that subject. So I'm looking forward to that follow-up.
You got it.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much. Go subscribe to Dan's YouTube channel. It's phenomenal, the content they're putting out today. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with everybody that you know. And we'll see you next week. Take care.